Victor examined the machine quietly. The two urns, as the Sphinx had said, had plenty of room to functionally hold quite a bit. However, as Victor examined the runes surrounding him, making the connections on each magical ingredient, he pondered why it couldn't do more than two effects. Examining the crystal in the machine explained this. The crystal was made of what appeared to be some form of mystically augmented quartz. A weak base for enchantment, though it was certainly workable. However, this raised him another question. What if a superior gem was used? With this thought, Victor began to look through his bag. A diamond would be the best option, of course, but he didn't have any on him at the time. He did have a garnet and amethyst, but they wouldn't be much better than quartz. Then his eyes found the gemstone that Master Drogan had given him, what felt like so long ago. It was made of solid diamond and pulsed with magical infusements well beyond what he himself could perform, the perfect core for the enchantment. However, if he wanted to truly empower the gem with multiple mystical infusions, it would need a stronger basis than the gem on its own. It would need an overflow, or the gem would simply explode. This stumped Victor for a few long moments, as it couldn't just be some random item. It had to be an item already holding magic that was compatible with the Netheresian's own magic, and this gave him pause. The magic that hummed in the artifact felt familiar, and it took him a very long moment to place it. And then it came to him. The Elven Crypt, that ancient burial site, had a very similar feeling. Perhaps the ancient magic would be compatible. Victor took a moment, simply to sense and compare the two magical artifacts, the cloak that he had been given, as well as the artifact before him. After several moments he grew confident. And with this confidence, Victor removed the cloak and carefully wrapped it around Drogan's gemstone, carefully removing the quartz gem and replacing it. Then began the careful measurements as Victor broke down the great amount of spell components that he had gathered over their adventure thus far. The ingredients were as follows: 1/4 an ounce of powdered human bone from the skeleton knuckles, for resistance against evil and undead creatures. 1 ounce of dragon blood, gathered from the corpse of Tyrannophar for increased durability and resistance to the elements. 1/2 an ounce of fenberry to act as a balancing agent between the other conflicting ingredients. 2 ounces of belladonna root for amplified movement speed and freedom of stride. 3 teaspoons of fairy dust for invisibility and lightness of weight, as well as 10 full slad tongues for further resistance against the natural elements, though technically any aspect of a planar creature could do so, but he had an abundance of the tongues. 1/10 an ounce of powdered quartz crystal for amplified resistance to blunt force and physical durability, and finally, 1 heart of the legendary Shadow Heart. It would have an unknown effect. However, as the antlers provided healing properties, Victor assumed its heart would cause similar effects. As well, it seemed to honor the creature in a weird way. It felt wrong to simply slay such a legendary beast, even if it had been for the good of another. This felt right, a way to give Victor closure, that he was using every bit of the beast as effectively as he could. With the gem of concentration and the cloak of Ascalhorn acting as the core for the artifact, Victor pulled the lever. The explosion of magical energy knocked him on his back, singeing his brow and bruising his chest from the force. However, as he managed to finally crawl back to his feet and the smoke cleared, a single cloak lay on the floor. The gemstone had bonded to the cloak at its clasp, and the entire cloak hummed with magical power. Grasping it, he felt a chill on his palms, and then a sensation he'd never encountered washed over him. For a single, brief instant, he could hear a voice whispering in an ancient elven tongue that he could not comprehend, and yet he could feel what the words meant: worthy. The life force and magic of the ancient elves that had been a part of the cloak before had been empowered. The connection was now strong enough to that crypt that only those it deemed of pure heart and good intent were worthy. Worthy of its power, worthy of wearing it. And Victor, proudly, swung the cloak over his shoulders, and instantly he felt the powerful enchantments of the Netherese, the Askelhorn, and Rogan, all activate at once. This was his first legendary item, founded from the powers of ancient magic and his deeds. It held surprising weight despite the enchantments that made it so light. But, empowered with this cloak, Victor turned forward and resigned himself to use it as effectively as possible, to halt whatever dark deed this mistress of magic had intended. Hello everyone, and thank you for watching. If you enjoy my videos and don't want to miss out on future content, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell notification button. If you'd like to support me on a more personal level, offer recommendations, chat with me, or vote on future series, then consider becoming one of my patrons on Patreon. Thank you once again for all your support, and I can't wait to see you in the next chapter of our story.